Okay, same spin, Spander Brothers Martial Arts, here in Bloomington, Illinois, here to elaborate a little further on the thrust to the slash mechanic that I just did on a bag. Again, on the previous video, I talked about using the bag, using a tree, whatever you have, your cousin, in order to simulate this thrusting motion here without the impact. And again, I think I mentioned in the first video, if I didn't, make sure that you do also put the reps in where this actual impact does occur, because you do have to understand what happens to your grip as you sort of thunk into a tree or thunk into the bag, right? Your grip will loosen. So your grip will slide, I should say. So keep that in mind as well. But this sort of set here, I'm intentionally trying to get you to use the idea of thrusting after your slash or slashing after your thrust. So now, this is where we flip it. So I'll start with just a nice and easy pattern, okay? I know in some of my previous videos, I've talked about the 12 angles of attack. Now, obviously, anybody who's been doing Filipino martial arts for any sort of period of time, there's hundreds of numbering systems, okay? I'm gonna stick with the first 5 from one of the systems, okay? If you think it's the wrong numbering system, okay, whatever. But this is just the first 5, and I'm just doing this for simplicity and time, okay? So once I start into the numbering system here, so we'll go with the diagonal down, the horizontal, and the horizontal. If you want to add the thrust, add the thrust. So I lied, I'll start at the first 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So I have a diagonal down, a horizontal, and a horizontal. Now, every single time I do my mechanic, my slashing motion, I'm going to add the thrust, okay? So diagonal down, thrust. Diagonal down, thrust. Horizontal, thrust. Horizontal, thrust. And right now, I'm missing the bag intentionally. Diagonal down, horizontal. Nice. Okay, once you get that, once you're comfortable with this motion, tighten it up. Less space in between your motions. So instead of here to there, here to there, as you get competent with this, as you get comfortable with it, you tighten it up. Slash thrust, slash thrust, slash thrust, slash thrust. Okay? I kind of jumped ahead. The next one I want you to do is I want you to move with it. So as you're doing this, you slash and thrust, slash and thrust, you slash and thrust, slash and thrust. Right there, I was moving on the slash. Now I'll move on the thrust. You slash and thrust, you slash and thrust. You slash and thrust, you slash and thrust, okay? Now that is, again, missing. The same thing can be done now where you add the thrust to the bag itself or the tree. So now I'm actually gonna hit this. So you slash and thrust, you slash and thrust, slash and thrust, whoa, missed, and slash and thrust. It's going to happen. It's important to know it's gonna happen. So slash thrust, slash thrust, slash thrust, slash thrust. Again, you can play the same game with your feet. Now, one other sort of tip I'll give in this video is on your bag, you can put some sort of target, okay? I just put a piece of duct tape there. You can put like a picture of somebody you don't like or whatever. But the idea of this is I now have a target, okay? So I guess I should show the camera so that way all the YouTube commenters can say that I didn't do it right and I wasn't actually hitting the target, which I'll still probably miss anyway. And I have like 4 people that watch them. So slash, thrust, slash, thrust. Slash thrust, slash thrust. Okay? So slash thrust, ooh, missed. Slash thrust, and slash thrust. So the idea again now, instead of this entire bag as a target, I have just a 2.5-inch strip of duct tape. Slash the thrust, slash the thrust, slash the thrust, slash the thrust. So that is sort of a progression you can start to do. Instead of thrust to slash, it's now slash to thrust. Slash to thrust. But again, the same mechanic applies of adding that line after each shot or taking the thrust and then cutting it through. So this is something that you don't necessarily have to do every single time. In fact, I know a lot of people who don't like to do this at all. But the idea of slashing and thrusting and slashing is vital if you want to start incorporating knife or longer bladed swords. So have fun with this, play around with it. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine. But I will say again, if you're one of these guys who spars quite a bit, or ladies who spars quite a bit, the slash to thrust is a great way to keep people away from you. In fact, I use that quite a bit to maintain my range. if you got headgear on, that is. You can use it on the low line, but the high line really helps you keep your range if that's the kind of game you want to play. So I hope this helps. Thank you very much.